I never imagined I'd end up as the prime target of our Homeowners Association president's fury, yet that's exactly what happened. My name is Daniel, and I moved into Sycamore Heights 3 years ago, after a car accident left me with limited mobility in my right leg. At first, the neighborhood seemed like a dream. Quiet streets, neat houses, and best of all, a driveway wide enough for my specialized van. What I didn't realize was that trying to secure a simple disabled parking sign would ignite the rage of Linda Pearson, more commonly, and unkindly, known as Karen. I followed every rule. The city approved my request for a disabled parking space in front of my house, and workers installed the sign on a Tuesday morning. By Wednesday afternoon, I noticed the sign tilting at an odd angle. When I checked my security footage, I was stunned. There was Linda, dressed in white capris and a pastel cardigan, hacking into the pole with garden shears. I confronted her by email, and she fired back immediately with zero apology. "That sign violates HOA aesthetic rules," she wrote. "The board never approved this eyesore. Remove it at once or pay $50 a day in fines." I explained that I had full city authorization and that the Americans with Disabilities Act outranked HOA bylaws. Her response? "Not in Sycamore Heights, it doesn't." The next morning, I discovered the pole completely severed, the sign tossed on the ground. My cameras caught her red-handed at 5:30 a.m., this time wielding what appeared to be an electric saw. She even stared into the lens and smirked before walking off. The nerve was unbelievable. That sign wasn't just a marker, it was my lifeline. On flare-up days, even short walks were agonizing. I decided on a new tactic. Instead of butting heads again, I sent her a courteous email. "It looks like my sign has been damaged. Of course, I don't expect you'd know anything about it, but I'll be reinstalling it per city ordinance." I even included links to the relevant disability laws, keeping my tone deliberately professional. Within minutes, she replied, "Any new installations require HOA approval. Your application is denied in advance." What Linda didn't realize was that I'm an attorney specializing in property law. I usually handle commercial disputes, but I know residential codes better than most HOA presidents drunk on power. I called a contact at City Planning who assured me they'd replace the sign at no charge. "We've had trouble with this HOA before," she admitted with a weary sigh. By Friday, the new sign was up. This time, I upgraded my surveillance. I angled my existing cameras perfectly and added a motion-activated one hidden in a birdhouse, helpfully installed by a neighbor who'd also suffered under Linda's reign. Sure enough, at 6 a.m. Saturday, Linda appeared again, now in jogging gear, armed with a cordless reciprocating saw. I watched live from my phone as she attacked the pole, her face locked in grim determination. Fortunately, I had prepared. The night before, I'd called the police non-emergency line to report potential vandalism and ask about next steps. So when I dialed 911 that morning, the dispatcher already had context. 2 officers arrived while Linda was still sawing. The look on her face was priceless, eyes wide, mouth frozen in shock. She tried to hide the saw behind her back, as if that would somehow erase reality. "Ma'am, what exactly are you doing?" one officer asked, though the evidence was obvious. "Board inspection," Linda said smoothly, never missing a beat. This sign wasn't approved by the HOA Architectural Committee. Her confidence was so bold that, for a fleeting moment, I almost doubted myself. But I stepped forward with my phone, showing the footage and a neat file of documentation. "Officers, this is the 3rd time Ms. Pearson has vandalized my legally installed disabled parking sign. I have full city permits and ADA authorization." They listened to both sides. Linda insisted that, as HOA president, she had the authority to remove unauthorized items no matter what the city said. The older officer, Rodriguez, looked like he was suppressing laughter as he explained that HOA rules don't override municipal codes or federal disability law, and that vandalizing city property is still vandalism. When he informed Linda she'd be cited, her face went scarlet. "Do you even know who I am?" she shrieked, her pitch sharp enough to send dogs howling half a mile away. "My brother-in-law is Deputy Mayor Stevens." "This will not stand." The officers exchanged weary glances but kept writing the citation. I assumed that was the end of it, just a ticket, a fine, maybe some community service. But Linda Pearson was not someone who accepted consequences gracefully. That very afternoon, every resident of Sycamore Heights received an emergency HOA bulletin. The email accused me of exploiting disability accommodations and insisted I wasn't disabled enough to justify specialized parking. She even attached photos of me carrying groceries and walking my dog as supposed proof. That crossed a line. I immediately contacted my physician, the city's Disability Resource Center, and a colleague who specialized in discrimination law. Within hours, I filed for an emergency injunction and a restraining order against Linda and the HOA board. The case landed before Judge Michaels, a woman with a reputation for cutting through neighborhood politics with surgical precision. 2 weeks later, Linda and I stood across from each other in court. She strode in beside the HOA's attorney, polished in a navy blazer and pearls, radiating confidence. I represented myself with nothing more than a flash drive loaded with security footage, emails, and medical records. Her attorney argued at length about HOA authority and neighborhood aesthetics, carefully sidestepping the vandalism and harassment. When it was my turn, I simply played the recordings. Clip 1, Linda hacking away with garden shears. Clip 2, her wielding an electric saw, pausing to grin at the camera. Clip 3, the most recent attack with a reciprocating saw, followed by her belligerent exchange with police. Then I displayed her email questioning the legitimacy of my disability, highlighting the phrases where she all but accused me of fraud. Judge Michaels's expression darkened as the footage rolled. By the end, she had removed her glasses and fixed Linda with an icy stare. "Miss Pearson," she said evenly, "tampering with a disability accommodation constitutes a civil rights violation. Publicly casting doubt on a documented disability borders on defamation. Do you understand that?" Linda's attorney attempted to intervene, but the judge silenced him with a raised hand. "The restraining order is granted. Ms. Pearson must remain at least 50 feet from the plaintiff's property at all times. In addition, I am issuing a $5,000 fine for the civil rights violation and referring this matter to the district attorney for potential criminal charges regarding repeated vandalism of city property." I looked at Linda, expecting fury. Instead, she seemed stunned, face drained of color, hand frozen midair as though she'd forgotten what she meant to say. For someone who built her entire identity on dominating others with rules and regulations, the shock of facing actual accountability left her speechless. Judge Michaels wasn't finished. Furthermore, Ms. Pearson is hereby ordered to step down as president of the Homeowners Association, effective immediately. Your conduct demonstrates not only a gross misunderstanding of HOA authority, but also a disturbing pattern of targeted harassment. Linda finally snapped out of her silence. "You can't do that!" she shouted, her protest echoing through the courtroom. "The HOA bylaws don't give you that power. The law gives me that authority, Ms. Pearson," the judge cut in sharply. "And unlike HOA rules, my orders are legally binding. Court officers, if she disrupts again, remove her." Linda slumped into her seat, her carefully maintained empire collapsing in less than 20 minutes. As we exited, I saw her in the hallway staring blankly at her phone as the court order hit her inbox. For the first time since I'd met her, Linda Pearson was utterly, devastatingly silent.